This is the Reflector Reflections podcast. My name is Annie. Join me as we revisit with our guests who have been on their journey over this past year and reconnect with them and see how they're going in their design and their experiment. Today's beautiful conversation is with Emily. Emily is a fellow 5-1 reflector and was on episode 16 where we chatted about her book, which was launching at the time, Wholeness Within. Welcome, Emily, and I'm so excited to hear how all of this went.
Yes, thank you so much for having me back, Annie, and I'm excited to catch up.
Yeah. So when we recorded, you were just in that process of launching the book.
Yeah, it's wild to think about.
Talk to us. And then I just saw a couple of months ago now, but you recorded it for Audible as well.
Yes, yeah. So much has happened, since we last chatted, and the audio version was just so expansive and way different than writing the book, which I never expected. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to read it out loud. But no, it just actually like brought up so much emotion and actually even the process of it was very interesting, like in editing it, and there were all these roadblocks and I was like, whoa, this is like actually more deep and it's about me clearing like blocks that I've had to my voice and like sharing my truth. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I signed up for this. Like this, yeah, it was just beautiful. And I think another way for people to connect with the story, that everyone has their preferences, right? Like some people only listen to books and some people only read them. So it's just like a different experience of the book itself.
Very much so. And I'm finding myself really curious, and I want to just launch straight in and ask, as a reflector, like, because we're reflectors, how was your energy during that launch? Did you find that it was uplifting? Were you able to navigate those waters, or because it would have been a lot of public, you had a lot of launches, didn't you? Not a lot, but you were in the public eye there for a bit.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think I'm just actually in the last few months, like really reflecting on that. And I will say, I think, yeah, the first 3 months of 2022, I was launching and I was having a lot of events and speaking at events. And I did get to a point where it was like, wow, like I am feeling pretty burnt out. And I took a vacation to Mexico and it was like much needed. I'm like, I probably should have taken this 2 months ago, but it definitely just made me realize that for my next book, I don't need to push as much and feel, writing a book is very deadline driven, but at the same time, it was more so like I felt like I have to be in my masculine and like get this book out and like it needs to be out there. And like every delay was just like soul crushing because I just was like in that masculine energy. And so it's interesting that my journey has led me to feminine embodiment, and I'm in a training this year to offer that in my coaching. And it was really, though, more so my own journey led me there because I was like, the way I'm doing this is not great for my energy. And I know I still have more to share. So, how can I approach this from a more embodied way? And I have to say, like, making this relationship with my body has been a godsend as a reflector because I just notice how much of other people's projections and emotions that I was picking up and just feeling as if they're my own. And it took a few took a few accidents, I will say, to figure out like I need a way of processing emotions, of being in my body and trusting that I have the answers so that I don't live in this state of anxiety and this cycle of burnout.
I love that. And honestly, only a 5-1 understands how that projection field feels for us. And you mentioned that. And even in your book, because I have read it, and if people haven't read it,
Yeah.
they should, you speak a lot about that. You journeyed through that masculine for so long. And even you had to kind of like turn into that, which was great. But I talk to people a lot about this, and especially us us 5-1s, not so much 5-2s, but still that projection field is quite intense. And if we don't learn how to feel where we are and trust we can be projected on and it can rip us apart. I know that sounds really dramatic, but it just feels
Mhm.
like it rips us apart. So I'm really happy to hear this, that you're doing this coaching and this training because you've had to go down and journey it.
Yeah.
It's the best thing. I think movement for us, especially to get into that feminine, is just so
Mhm.
powerful. It's powerful for anybody, but it's extremely powerful for empaths, reflectors, and us like-minded gals.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, that 5-1 has actually been coming up for me lately. I think there's I don't know if you've sent this. There's just like a lot of change in the collective and like unrest. And then I think we're more susceptible at that point to then be projected on and be like, this is your fault, or like just notice like tensions. And I'm like, it's so great to have this awareness and this practice of like processing my emotions and like doing mind body exercises like yoga and dance and breath work, and then come back and be like, this is not me. And then once, you decide that as a reflector, even as a 5-1, it's like everyone else can then be like, oh, like they'll take ownership of like, I'm projecting on you because you just like rejected that. It's all happening on an energy level, but
Yeah.
that's just what I've realized in the last month or so.
No, you've worded that perfectly, because that's how it feels for me as well. And it's still there. It's still there where you sort of go, whoa. But when you kind of
Mhm.
start to embody more who we are, we can kind of like just brush it off. And I think
Yeah.
that it becomes like, oh, ugh, whatever. And
Yeah. Exactly.
it's just like, and just keep
Yeah.
walking. But it takes time to get there. And we all have to stumble, trip, and fall a
Yes.
bit, don't we? And sort of get up and
Yeah.
dust our knees off.
It's definitely a practice. And yeah, the first time I did it, I guess it's been pretty recently. I'm like, wow, like this feels good to just like not completely take on ownership of like someone else's view. And I guess that's like the greatest lesson of being a reflector is like everyone's projecting anyways, like, and we are just very aware of it.
That's it. So you just said there before, my next book. Are you writing another one?
I am. I am. Yes, yes. And it's really about this journey of embodiment and the way of the embodied woman. And I've just gone through so many experiences even in the last year and since I wrote my book where it was like, wow, like all these things that I wrote about my first book, it's like this, there's updates. There's updates to that. And there's a new awareness that I've shared that, being in your body, like you can get all the answers that way, and you can actually sit with so much sensation and energy, which I think was really hard for me as a reflector. Like it is so much to hold and like feel like what do you do with all that?
Mm.
So I'm excited. Yeah, for my next book, hopefully next year. And I'm not gonna rush it either.
Oh, that's really good to hear. You're actually going to take your time. You'll still
Yeah.
feel that. I know you'll still feel that pressure.
Yes.
I'm really excited to read the update. I'm like, oh, spoilers. And I'm like, don't read into too much.
Yeah.
Don't tell me too much. Spoilers.
I
No, that'll be
know.
great. And that'll be so beneficial for us all to be able to read that, because we learn from each other. So
Yeah.
to hear this. So I was just about to ask you then, with your business, like you've always been a very, very busy person. You've always. So where are you at with that now? You're saying there you're bringing it into your coaching?
Yeah, yeah. So I am coaching career-driven women, high-achieving women to create self-trust and confidence in themselves and as they make life and career transitions. So really embodied feminine leadership and connecting women to feminine spirituality. So I find, being myself, I work full time. I, as a reflector, have this like insight, the canary in the coal mine of like, oh, like this is the future of work is like very much shifting. And like, how can you lead through that? How can you be embodied um, and really get clarity on what you want in your career? And as you grow in your career. So I've been offering sessions and going to launch a program pretty soon, long-term container for one-on-one work with women.
That's amazing. Good on you. And do you use human design in your work at all, or is it more of a personal thing for you?
Yeah, I all my clients, I do their human design assessment, and and that's taken into account in coaching because it's just like the most accurate thing I find. And I even was working, and I guess I get a lot of like manifesting generator clients. I don't know. I think we've talked about this as like a
Mm.
reflector connection. And I guess there's an understanding there. And one of my clients, she's like, I want all these different things to happen. I have a new project that's always just coming up. And it's like, that's exactly what's supposed to be happening. And I think, you know, when you learn your reflector, you just have so much more self-compassion. And I think that's true for any design. So it's a big part of my work.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that because it is so powerful.
Yeah.
And have you
Yeah.
found that some of the clients that you work with, is human design brand new to them, or some of
Mostly,
them?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like they'll say, "Oh, I've heard of it," but they've never done their chart, which is always like so surprising to me. But like there's still so many people that don't know about it.
So what are you up to over the next little while in your life? What's happening with Emily? Where's Emily going?
Yeah, well, many changes. I am definitely feeling the call to move somewhere different. And I'm like, is this a reflector thing where every 2 years you're just like, I need to change places and like change everything? And it's just like owning that and accepting that. And so I've been looking at astrocartography to like see what makes sense, and also just feeling it out. I have plenty of time to make that decision, and I just know how much of an impact that will make on this next level and next step in my life, to have the right environment. So I'm looking forward to that, and many things planned, and like I have all these downloads of what I know I'm supposed to do, and host a retreat next year, and have a TEDx talk. And I'm like, okay, like let's pick like a one or two. Like I think I get the seed, and I get that desire, and it's like all of it doesn't have to happen at once, and there's a time for everything. And I'm really, really loving coaching women in feminine embodiment and that work. So I'm like, I'm going to really, really follow that thread through and help as many women as possible in that area. um and also have my book come out. So many things happening as always.
I love this. I'm listening to it and I'm hearing you journey out of your masculine, which has been very structured and very like bang, bang, bang. You journey into your feminine. And now all of a sudden you're like, "Ah, I'll just move here. I'll just do this,
Yeah.
change this. Oh, I'll just do this." And I'm like, that is exactly what we're supposed to be like. And it's
Yes.
like all of a sudden it feels really good. And because you've got that conditioned background, I feel you because I have the same, that conditioned background of going, but you have to finish what you start. And I sometimes actually say to myself, like a stubborn child, but who says I have to
Yeah,
do that? And
I love
I say that
that.
to my manifesting generator clients as well. I'm like, just be
Yes.
stubborn and say, but who says I have to finish things?
Exactly, like, what voice is saying that?
Oh, I'm really excited for you. Is there any tips and tricks that you'd like to share with your fellow Lunar friends who are just finding it?
Yeah, I would love to share, the thing that's helped me the most, I guess, in the last 6 months, is really finding 5 minutes in your day to just be in your body and out of your mind. And that can be very personal to so many people. So maybe that's like crafting. That's been a big hobby of mine. And like that way I can embody more, because there's all the knowledge, there's all the emotions, but like let's like let it integrate and like seep in. So meditating is also great, and even dancing. That's been a big part of the training I'm in, is like movement and just like expressing your emotions through dancing. And that's not like choreographed in any way, but just like, what does the emotion want to be expressed at? I think that would be my tip for reflectors everywhere.
Yeah, beautiful and so true. Movement, movement, movement in any way.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much for taking the time to catch up with me. It's so good to talk to you and hear
Yeah.
about your life. And I look forward to the next catch up we have.
Yes, me too, Annie.
All right, take care, Emily.
Take care.